Can you hear me? Good morning, everybody. It's with great pleasure to be here today. As Keith mentioned, I'm a commercial officer working in Washington, D.C. at the Department of Commerce headquarters for a very special program titled Select USA. I'd like to thank the American Chamber of Commerce, who's helped to organize this event and bring us all together today. Before I begin my presentation, I'd like to express my gratitude just to be here today, and it's truly been a pleasure to work with Spanish companies. There's a spirit of forward-thinking vision, commitment to excellence, and a refined resilience that I've come to recognize just over my last year working with many different Spanish companies. And so I'm very happy to be here, and I look forward to meeting you throughout the day. Please don't hesitate to ask me any questions. It was highlighted that we have a very strong and important bilateral relationship between our countries. Spain and the United States maintain a critical commercial relationship, and thousands of Spanish and US workers are employed because of that. I'll skip over the statistics since we already had both versions of that this morning. And to begin, I'd like to share a video of Warren Buffett, the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, where he discusses how the business environment and the laws in the United States spur innovation and help businesses succeed. This video was recorded for a recent event that we hosted in Washington. Oh, okay.
Business in this country has generally prospered because we have a very open, a very market-driven, a very transparent economy. We've always had, well, I won't say always, because 200 years ago might not have been the case, but for a long time, we have had terrific capital markets. We've been the center of the world's financial markets, and the overall capitalization of American businesses is absolutely huge. And a big part of the reason is that we know we'll be treated fairly under the law. We know that although there's bound to be a certain amount of government regulation, it's not of a smothering effect whatsoever. We have an awful lot of people in this country, not only in business, but in government, in all walks of life, who want business to succeed. This is not a few countries you have this anti-business climate. They think business is evil. You won't find very many people in the United States that think business is anything but good for them, and they've seen what it's done for them. It's brought them products that you wouldn't have dreamt of 50 years ago. In fact, a lot of products I wouldn't have dreamt of 15 years ago I'm using today. So that just comes about through ingenuity, but it comes about through a climate in which ideas flourish and where investment is welcome. And I can't think of any place I'd rather be than in the United States.
And so next, I'd like to talk more about the Select USA program. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Select USA's mission is to promote and facilitate business investment in the United States. We're the single point of contact at the national level for international and domestic companies to invest in the United States. And so if you're already in the United States or you're interested in entering the US for the first time, we can be your point of contact at the federal level to help you navigate all across the different federal agencies and across the different states. You are our client, and it's very important that you understand we're really in the client service business. We want to provide value and support as you expand your business in the United States. We are a team within the Department of Commerce, and we work with the U.S. Foreign Commercial Service, and so my colleagues Keith Silver and Helen Crowley are your point of contacts here in Spain for Select USA cases. And they'll be here today as well to speak with you, or in the future we'd be happy to meet with you and talk about on a case-by-case basis your business in the United States. We offer a core group of services to investors. The first is information, research, and analysis. And I've found working in the Southern European region, the SMEs are a very specific group of companies and type of company that we can provide value to, because looking at the US, if it's your first time, can be somewhat challenging. You see 50 different states that have many different opportunities, some have different challenges, and so information and research is the first service that we can help you ask the right questions, get the right information to compare what's available on different state levels and what's available throughout the United States. And that's the first step, really trying to decide where to go in the United States. And so we have access to a lot of data and information within the Department of Commerce to help provide that analytical support. And then once you do decide where to go in the United States, or you have a short list, say between several different states or cities, then we introduce you to the local economic development organizations at the state level, the regional level, and the local level. And you'll hear more about that later today from Case and also from our states who are here. And then finally, there's an ombudsman assistance that we can provide. It could be from the beginning stages when you're looking to enter the US, or it could be 5 years down the road when you're already established in the US and you need some sort of clarification on the federal regulatory landscape. We have a interagency investment working group with 20 different federal agencies, and that helps us have a point of contact at the policy and the working level, at the USDA, the FDA, many different agencies that you will need to speak with, or you'll need certain clarification on what certifications, what permits, what regulations and steps you need to do your business in the United States. This is an example of the information and counseling that we provide to investors. Very basic tax and legal concepts, federal rules and regulations, incentives available to businesses, even visa questions. Anything that's on your mind and you're wondering what you need to think about, please let us know. Our website, selectusa.gov, has a very diverse range of assistance and tools, and we're actually working to update that, so keep checking. It should get much better soon. But even now, you can find a list of federal programs, incentives, grants, tax benefits for your business per sector. And then on the state level, there's also a wealth of support that different states offer, and there's a state incentive database that we have. You can compare up to 5 different states, the lists of all of their incentives, grants, and tax benefits for your business. So if you're deciding between different states, that can be a tool to help you compare for your sector and for your business where the right fit is. This is a very interesting tool that I actually love to suggest companies to use. The cluster mapping tool was developed through a partnership between our sister bureau in the United States Department of Commerce, the Economic Development Administration, and the Harvard Business School. If you visit clustermapping.us, you can explore interactive maps of regional industry and innovation clusters. And so you can select your cluster and drill down to a very specific subcluster to see where your industry is in the United States. And this can help you also identify who your clients are, where your supply chain is, where centers of innovation are really popping up, and that can also help steer your interest in where to go. And I also want to mention that all of our services are free of charge, and these tools and resources are also free of charge. And the information and the data is really extensive, and so I would encourage you to check this website. This is also the Access Costs Anywhere. It's called the ACE tool for short. This provides manufacturers a analysis of all the different factors for manufacturing, and it takes into account not just labor costs in different locations around the world, but lead times, travel, shipping, insurance. And this is a very intensive program that we have that's analytic to provide manufacturers the reasons for investing and sourcing in the United States. And so this actually came about through one of our chief economists at the Department of Commerce to help support reshoring and to give U.S. manufacturers the data to convince them to bring their manufacturing back to the United States. And so it's actually also used and encouraged to be used by international investors who are trying to compare the cost of manufacturing in the U.S. versus other locations around the world. I recently just spoke about the Ombudsman Service and how we can help facilitate direct communications between different federal agencies. And an example of this is if you're already in the United States and you are looking to get your business up and running, but there's, say, a certain permit that you need and you haven't heard, you've done all the steps and you haven't heard back from the agency. Say it's the EPA or USDA, could be even the FDA, and you haven't heard back what you're waiting, and your business is just waiting and standstill. We don't want that to happen. We really want to be a facilitator for your success in the United States, and so we have the right point of contact at 20 different agencies to pick up the phone, call them, and let them know that you're an important client. We want to know what's going on. And that clarity can provide a peace of mind, and also it can help you better anticipate your costs and your operations. We can't adjudicate, but at times getting the communication together and facilitating that connection can be what it takes to get your project moving. And so if you ever have a case like that, please let us know immediately and we'll work with you. Another example of this is, for instance, if you're in a very regulated sector like energy, we can help you speak to the right federal agencies that regulate the sector to anticipate what your costs will be or what your steps will be. So if you're, say, you're entering the US for the first time, or you're entering a specific region of the US for the first time, and you want to know all the steps you need to get up into your operational stage, we can also facilitate that introduction and help guide that conversation. I would also like to note that a key attribute for potential investors looking at the United States comes in the form of assistance available to businesses at the federal, state, and local levels. Economic development organizations representing states, cities, and regions from coast to coast are actively involved in working with companies to pave the way for your investment. And we have 7 different states represented here today. They've been mentioned several times. And so once you speak to us, or you can speak to the states and to us at the same time, but if you're interested in meeting with a state or speaking with a state, we'd be happy to introduce you. These are the statistics that I will skip over since they've been mentioned, but this is an illustration of how important our trade and commercial and investment relationship is. This next slide is featuring a video, once again, from the recent event we held in Washington, D.C.
Well, I think first of all, it's a big market, but I think more importantly, it's an innovative market. This is really the home of innovation around the world now. I think it's got low energy costs, it's got lots of talent, and it's the home of software in the world. And one of the reasons we're here in a big way is, yes, it's access to our customers. Yes, energy costs are low, but more importantly for us is almost all of our products now have software associated with them. We're moving quickly into the digital economy, not just on the consumer side, but on the industrial side. And as we do that, you're going to see productivity increase dramatically. And 75% of the software, industrial software in the world is developed right here in the U.S. That gives the U.S. a big advantage in terms of attracting companies. If you want to be part of the digital economy, particularly as it relates to the industrial world, you have to be here in the U.S. And I think that's going to draw a lot of companies.
Eric Spiegel, the CEO of Siemens, he gave some good insight of why the U.S. makes sense for his sector, but he also touched on some key reasons why the U.S. remains the #1 choice for investors. Several weeks ago, there was a study result reissued, and it rated that the U.S. is still the top destination for business investment, and several of the key factors to this are abundant energy supplies, competitive energy prices, universities and research institutions, and our robust intellectual property systems and productive workers. This slide highlights several of the factors that make the U.S. a strong place for your business to expand. Not only do we have a strong population and an excellent market, but it was also mentioned today that the free trade agreements really give you access to the world. The U.S. remains a center for global innovation and entrepreneurship. The United States is responsible for 36% of the total research and development expenditures in the world. This is an older statistic, but an average of 500,000 new businesses created per month in the United States, and that was several years ago. But that really speaks for itself. That there is a lot of innovation, startups. That the environment for new ideas continues to remain very supportive in the United States. In the essence of time, I think I'm going to skip over several of these slides that talk about what make the United States a great place for your investment. I believe that has been touched on several times today. But one of the case studies that we like to highlight is the BMW story. This is actually a very interesting story. Ludwig Willisch, the president and CEO of BMW North America, explained most recently at our event, the summit, that what really spurred him to invest in South Carolina. And in September of 1994, the first BMW was produced in North America. To date, BMW has produced over 2 million vehicles and has invested over $5 billion in South Carolina. And this is a quote that I'll share. It was remarkable that someone representing the state of South Carolina actually met our then chairman in Berlin at a political event. And he said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" He was given 5 minutes, literally. And this is what he said. "We have land, we have a port, we have a highway, we have a skilled workforce. Why don't you come to South Carolina?" And so he said, "Okay, you convinced me. Go talk to this gentleman who's in charge of production." And 2 years later, BMW broke ground broke ground in South Carolina. And over 30% of exports in the United States are actually driven by foreign direct investment. And so BMW is an excellent example how they've used their manufacturing in South Carolina as a base for their global business and exports. This slide talks about the strengths in oil and gas and the energy sector in the United States. And also, I'd like to also mention that there's a transparent legal system and IP protection environment in the United States. We have an advanced legal system that provides transparency, predictability, and flexibility. And this system supports a structure that resolves disputes quickly, often before significant expense is incurred. And it also makes the United States the world's leader in protecting intellectual property rights. And then finally, I wanted to share a few slides about the event we just recently had in Washington. We had over 30 Spanish companies in a delegation led by Ambassador Costos, and it was an exceptional event, and we hope